it was the largest global study of long-term relationships that actually looked at just one question. What's the secret? My next guest says just that we are asking that question is good news for marriages, and the answer to that question is good news for couples who want to get in and stay in. Studio 5 contributor Dr. Liz Hale is joining me. Good to see you, sister.
Good to see you.
So break down this study for us a little bit more.
Yes, definitely a trailblazing study of 1,400 individuals. And the most important question was really, what's your secret sauce, right? It was these young couples asking these older married couples, very seasoned couples who've been married 40, 50, 60, even 70 years. How are you doing it? And I love the fact that they're asking that question, because that means not only are they interested in getting married, but they're interested in staying married. All very good.
And you say that to be in a relationship, and this is sort of an interesting fact to consider, just to be in a relationship, a committed relationship, is sort of countercultural. Like, we live in this hyper-individualized society, and it's all about what will make me feel good, or what are my boundaries. So just that people are asking that question and seeking this information is good.
So true. You know, the marriage rate is on the decline. So this is all really about the me versus the we. And in dating, people will often ask, you know, am I happy enough? Does this person, can I do better than this? You know, what if something terrible happens? But the key is 100% of these long-term couples that they studied, they were always looking out for the other person, right? It wasn't ever about themselves. They were always looking outside themselves. That seems to be the key.
You see there's a catchphrase we can take away from that.
That is, if you really want to do what's best for you, be selfish and work on your relationship. I think that's so clever. I love this here. I just want to read it because it was from the study. It was nurturing a strong, mutually supportive, long-term relationship may just be the most self-serving thing two people could choose to do.
Like, it does benefit you in the end.
Self-serving.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. We know that, right? The studies, there's plethora of living longer and just doing better with our mental wellness, our physical wellness, and emotional. We just do better overall.
Well, with that truth came three little secrets that all of these couples had in common, that if you too want to be a resilient couple or have a resilient marriage, you can embody and practice first commitment.
Yeah, and that was really no surprise. We saw commitment pop up about 30 years ago, but these couples were using terms like it was essential. Commitment is vital. It's the most important thing. And other phrases were, we're in this for the long haul. You know, it's a marathon. We expect the bumps. There won't be surprises on that. Commitment is not just a one-time pledge. It's a commitment a day in and day out that's made with availability and responsiveness. I loved that. Many of these couples have really been through some hard times. They've had children with disabilities. They've lost children, which is one of the greater hurts in life, right? There's been mental illness, physical illness, and even infidelity. One couple in the study, as a matter of fact, they had been married 40 years and just knew to their marriage wasn't infidelity. I think it was the husband's infidelity, I can't remember. But they were both crying through this interview, talking about just how heartbreaking this was, that after all this time, this is what happened. So no one's immune.
Right.
But they were determined to stay in there because there was too much good to let go of. They had worked too hard.
You like to make the analogy of like pair divers.
Yeah.
And the harder you dive, the more likely you are to get a gold medal.
Yeah, just, you know, on the heels of the Summer Olympics, you know, the synchronized diving, right, the teams.
Oh, it's fascinating.
The harder the dive, the closer to the gold medal. And it's very much that way with couples. You know, the harder the road, it seems like the higher the score and the closer the connection and the closer the depth of that relationship.
So if the relationship's hard,
well,
the payoff might be better.
Everything is hard, right? Everything good is hard. So in other words, instead of being discouraged, like some couples, they'll sit down, well, they'll think, oh my gosh, have you ever seen anybody worse than us? Right? There's such shame. It's like, oh, honey, we're all in this together. You know, trust me. So it's good to know, to remind yourself that nothing is ever wasted. Everything builds our strength and our commitment to each other.
That's a Dr. Liz line I say a lot. Nothing wasted.
Nothing wasted.
The next secret to this resilient marriage that came out in this long-term study is altruism.
You know, that was a surprise, actually. So the selfishness, that's rather novel, but it does make some sense, actually. A man married 49 years, he advises young couples to be unselfish. Think of your partner first, right? More than yourself. And be sure and give more than you're giving. Give more to them than you are to yourself. Other quotes were things like, be willing to put yourself on the back burner. Get your ego out of the equation. Put your partner's needs first. Go above and beyond. it really propels us into the future when you think about it. That's what many of these couples wish for the younger generations, is that what saddens them is that we're not getting married as often, we're not staying married, and there's no way to get that big benefit. There's only the reward towards the end.
Yeah.
And that satisfaction of, gosh, we did it. It's you and me against the world.
1 minute left. The third secret is values, shared values.
Yes, you know, it could be honesty, fun, family. Think about the things that are really important to you together and build on those strengths. Build on those.
You had a chance to sit down with a widowed friend of yours who had been married to her husband, not just 40, but 75 years. Did she echo some of these themes?
Dee is amazing. You know, the things I heard from Dee about Dee and Vern Bolo is that they had their roles, and they stayed and they led with their strengths. You know, he was terrible with money, she said, but she was great with money. As a matter of fact, when they went to buy their first property to build their home on, and they didn't make a lot of money, she made $1 a day babysitting, and he was a teacher, but she had saved enough pennies, if you will, that they bought this property for cash. It surprised her husband.
Wow.
Yeah, so her strength was the financial management, and his was working, and then when he was done working, he would go out and hunt and fish, not because he was an outdoor sportsman, but because of necessity. That's how they fed their family.
Wow.
So it was working together in 75 years. Isn't that something?
What a beautiful love story.
You don't get a chance to meet someone who has been through that kind of life and done it together.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing their story and this research with us. There's a book, if you want to know more, that was done by this couple, this married couple, that was behind the study, and you met the Heims through your podcast.
I did, yes, and they were lovely. And he's a psychiatrist, he's very worried about mental illness. And of course, we could really do better with our mental well-being by being in relationships. So if you want to do something for yourself, get close to that partner.
You saw Dr. Liz and Dr. Dave, they do a podcast talking about these kinds of marriage topics and inspirational, I think, movements forward. So we appreciate you bringing that to us, Liz. Thank you.
My honor.